please do not. Fine. So we are over here right now, and we'll make a base controller. As I was telling, how to work with a base controller is that we can use some kind of an annotation right now to make things to explain the things. So let's say this is my base controller. This is my view1 controller. This is my view1 controller, view2 controller. So this is my view2. This is my view1 controller. This is my base controller .js file simply. And this base controller is inheriting from the supercontroller, that is this thing. This thing is inheriting from it. And later on, my view1 will inherit from the base controller, and view2 will also inherit from the base controller. So anything that's written over here, like let's say there is a property and there is a value, there's a function of whatever it is, and there is another property, and there is a function that's the value for it. So anything that you want to reference, okay, let's say you want to reference this property, you can use that over here by using this dot that property, whatever the property is, maybe the property. If it is a function, you will pass this thing, much the same way you will do inside this controller, your own controller. The only thing is that now this base controller is dependent on this, main controller, and these other controllers are inheriting every property from the base controller. So it is as simple as that, as if my view1 controller is the base controller. Every time my view2 controller is the base controller. And also the things why it all of a sudden became a bit confusing, because there was another controller, another thing that was actually engulfing the two things, and that was my app view, which I have not discussed. So maybe at that time, it might creep in some. Still, the view1 and view2 can talk to using another thing, that is the app. That is the app controller. So being part of the app controller as well, it can still be the part of the base controller. Because don't think base controller to be separate stuff, right? Think it to be like individually, each of my controllers are getting the things from this super controller. Okay, so if it is there inside it, or let's say it is outside it, the only benefit that you get from it is that, let's say some codes are written over here and the same kind of codes are written over here. They're repetitive. You're just putting it in some kind of a common place. That is what you're trying to do. Otherwise, every time you're going to write the same codes, like, for example, let me just tell you. I know it's getting a bit confusing. Huh? No. Yeah. I don't think it's clear for everybody. So if you see, the point I'm trying to tell is that if you keep the takeaway that I actually am trying to, tell, then you won't get confused. The takeaway is, don't think base controller to be a separate controller. All right, think it to be the same controller you are in. The only thing is that there is a separate space that's been given to it. Okay. So what's the point of doing that? So that, if there are common codes written in view1 and view2, you can just use them. All right, that's the point. So even view2 will think that I'm in my same controller. Even view1 will think I'm the same controller. So this is how it is. Let me just show it to you what I'm trying to actually explain, and then I can just go ahead. How can I get rid of it? So where is that thing? Hide the floating. Let me just try doing it over here. I'll say, what I'll say for, where am I in right now? Where are my codes? Oh, here. Okay, you check it out. This dot get view dot set model is there, right? So I'll say um, set model, right? So set model, okay. I'm just making a variable, and then I'm saying that variable holds the value this dot get view dot set model, okay, and then it's here, and then I have to put a comma before it, and let me just see if it works right now. This I haven't tried doing it. Right now I'm doing it because I think it would work. So I'm just putting over here set model, and how can we access this dot set model? Okay. So if the model is working, what we are referencing to is this dot set model or model dan model. So let me just go and check if everything. Oops, it's really. Let me just pass something over there. AB. Now do it. Define it. It's saying define it. Define it now. Why so many of those things came? Remove it. Okay, let me just refresh the page once again. Inspect console. Just check what's the problem. This dot get view is not a function. This dot get set model has been put inside. Okay, this dot get view. Is there any problem? And there's a set model or model A and B. So we don't have to do that. We just try it once again. Let me give one more try. This dot get view. I'm just pointing to set model. So where is the part that's there? You just copy this part, Control C. Go faster, faster, faster. Okay, this dot get view. Let me make it O view, O view, and then I'm gonna write this dot get view, and let me pass, and the comma I need to pass over there, and let me just pass O view over here. I can access this O view using this dot O view. While this dot O view. Let me just check once again. Refresh the page. Oops, what's the problem? I'm just using this dot get view. Instead of this dot get view, I'm using O view. This dot O view, and then I'm saying set model. If I do it with SAP UI get core, it might work. Let me another try. SAP.UI dot get core, right? And then set model. And let me just make that as O core. Now, please. Now, please come in. Come in. I'm already in a big problem now. SAP UI get core. Let me just copy this thing, SAP UI get core, and make it an O core. And I'm just replacing this with O core. And how can I get it? This dot O core. Let me just see it once again. Okay, so with O core it works. The problem is So this is the thing actually I was trying to say, but it did not work with this dot get view. But still, you can see that O core is being referenced over here. So what I did is that if let's say if I had used SAP UI get core everywhere for getting and setting the model, what I did is that I just made a shortcut over here for it, and then I just passed for see it's just a variable that is holding a value over here. All right. This O core actually is SAP UI get core. Over here, it was written, let me just go back and show it to you. It was written something like this. So instead of using SAP UI get core, I'm saying that simple thing is O core. And now I can use that O core using this because this is how use core because it's a part of a global variable and global instance. So you need this to use it. So how do you use that? This dot o core. So then I'll just go ahead and do this dot o core, and that's set the model for us over here. Interestingly, it did not work for this dot get view, not a problem, but still you can understand that, if this work, we need to, because I think this already is there inside it, which is why there are so many thises and which is why it was not working. Now, what if we try to do the same thing in outside a controller that's called as a base controller? Let me do it with that thing, and then we will slowly move into this and try to see how it works with it. So at least you can understand what I'm trying to say. So if I had, let's say, this also part of like SAP UI get core or set model, and I can just replace it with this .o core. In the same way, there are setter and so many. Here you are getting the whole thing SAP UI get core dot get model and set model. So what you can do is that you can just make a kind of a thing that can make your job easier. And anywhere, if you have view one, view two, view three, you don't have to write this bigger thing SAP UI get core. You will just say O core, this dot O core, and the job is done. The confusing part in it, personally, I think, but it's not the standard I'm saying. Standard is something else that I'm teaching. But personally, I think it makes the thing even more confusing. I'll tell you why. Before that, you see this model. How did we create the model the first time? You remember? It is new SAP type, stuff we passed over here. Where is that thing? Now it's no more over there. We first brought in the constructor of the JSON model. That means this thing. Remember this thing? We started doing it, and then we did the load data and set data, and every other thing was here, right? Remember? It's still here. You can see that still there. Then what we did is that we put part of the things in the model.js folder, right here. And then we are, instead of writing the whole thing, we're just writing create model, and two of the things have been replaced by it. So now we are saying model.create model. After that, there is a thing that is called as this dot SAP. Somebody please do not talk. Yeah, I do not. SAP UI get core. SAP UI get core is there. Now what we are doing is that if we see some kind of common code like that is repetitive, what we are doing is that we are passing the same thing inside the controller now. Okay, a base controller. So you see things are so finely placed in different kind of folders and files. The reason is it's not about just using one page or one view. What if your whole project consists of, let's say, 10 views or 8 views, right? So some kind of segregation is important. So separation of concerns are very, very important thing in the Fury apps. So which is why these kind of things are there. Otherwise, for one view, who will take the pain of putting the same thing in the base controller and the modular JS and referencing it from everywhere and making the things even more complex. All right. So, but for 10 views, yeah, it's easy. Don't have to write a lot of a code for it. Simple things, just O core and done. Instead of writing SAP UI get core and then do the whole thing. All right. Now, so how do you make a base controller? So you add a new file into the controller and just call that as a base controller.js. Simply that, base controller.js. And nothing else, no controller or any extension, as you have seen view one controller or something. It's base controller, okay? And let me just grab everything from here and put that in the base controller. And I don't need any code. I just needed the scaffolding template from it. Uh, and no on init or anything of this sort. Okay. Also, I'm removing these codes over here from it. Of course, it will be having the supercontroller from which the base controller is inheriting. Okay. I don't even want the formatter and the model inside it for now because it's fine. So my base controller is ready. Okay. And then what it is doing is that, tell me, the base controller is inheriting from the supercontroller. All right. So how is the inheritance done over here? It's still, it is, providing the power to the view one. It should provide to the base controller. It'll just change one piece of thing. Now the base controller, right? So now the base controller is inheriting from the supercontroller. Save it, and now your supercontroller will inherit from the base controller. So let me just uh, remove this piece of code from here. NAM, let me just copy it. There's so many mistakes, you just lose the confidence. So in that case, you need to copy the whole thing rather than putting your concentration on the spellings. And now we will. So it's can you guide me through what shall I write next to it? Namespace, and then I want to reference it. Good, very good. Right. So now it is referencing to the base controller. Okay. So what is this? Let me just remove this piece of code for now. And also, rather than making it for now sap.ui .ui .getCore, and what happened to it? Yeah, just killing the thing so that the base controller is there, and still just this part has gone somewhere else. That's it. That's it. No, if I refresh the page, I don't see any problem. You see, that means everything is working the same. Here I'm referencing the base controller. Think it to be as if my controller is here, the super controller is still here. So everything is working the same way. Now, you must be thinking this controller is actually, and if you want to make it even more understandable, you can just put base controller over here. Otherwise, if you put A over here, doesn't make much of a difference. I told you, right? Remember this thing? So still, it is not the controller, but the base controller that is okay. So base controller, and that base controller that is receiving things from the supercontroller is sending to my view one controller. All right. So things are as simple as that. Now, what if I go to the base controller and try to do something over here? Let's make a method that is called as set. Get what do you want to do? Let me just first the set model or get model. The set model? Okay, so let's say set model we want to do. This is what we want to do, set model. How do you do that? Function, just making a function set model. Set model function, and then, okay, we do that. And in that set model, we'll say var o model equals this dot get view dot set model. So this is how we set this dot get view the set model. This is how we do that. And let's return this thing also, return o model. That is returned in the set model. So set model is holding the data for me. How will I reference it? It is as though doing it. So that means it was possible to be done over there at the V1 control level as well. If I had made a function over there rather than, making directly reference to this. So variables can be done that way, holding single values, but something that's like this can't be done that way. So let me just try it out very quickly. Also, Let me just change the code over here once again. I'll try it. Uh, this dot get view dot set model. Okay. So you see this dot get view dot set model, this dot get view dot set model. Now, also I'll try to pass this thing base controller. Let's pass two things over here. Let me just, for now, I'm just passing A. Let me see if it works or not. A and back B. And here you have got the same thing, A and B. That means one is the name of the model. What is the problem now? Can anybody tell me? Oh, we don't have to put that in the codes. Yeah, in the codes, we don't have to because we already done it. God's sake. Yeah, that's okay. Let's just check out if it works for us. A and B in codes. No codes, A, B, yeah, because we're doing that. And now instead of this, we're gonna use the set model over here where we're setting the model. So here, just put a this. What the heck is that? This dot set model. Okay, so we are calling in a function and passing these parameters into it, same way we did that. And now we expect that it should work properly. And coming over here, refreshing the page, and you see that it really worked well for us. That means, you know, this whole base control stuff, you know, like this dot get view dot set model, I'm just making a set model instead of writing this whole thing. This dot get view dot set model. For that, I'm writing a set model. And anywhere, if I make another view one or view two or whatever, I'm going to use set model for it instead of making this dot get view dot set model. So you see this dot set model rather than writing this dot get view dot set model, which is why sometimes when you see in the codes, you will find that something of this sort is there. And can uh, can we do the same thing over here? So what we will do is that, see, first try, we tried to do that and did not work for us. Let's now simply copy this piece of code, the thing that we tried in the beginning. Okay, what if we copied this piece of code and pasted it over here and try to do the same thing? Would it have worked then? Of course it would have. This dot set model is here, and now it's referencing to base control. Let me just refresh the page. And also base controller should be there. Then we have to change it to the, to our own controller. Let me just go ahead quickly do that. For now, just doing it for now. Copy it and just hold on for a second. You know, the thing that we tried to do that time, right? I'm just trying to do it once again. Now doing this way, referencing it with this dot set model, everything is over here, this set model, right? You're getting the point? No? No, right? No. No, right? Wait. Just hang on for a second. Let me just push the page. You see, it works. You know, now let's see, we started this way, not the base controller way. All right. We started this way. Now you get the point. There is no base controller right now. You see, this is the main controller we are referencing to in our, let me just remove the base controller from there as well. Right? Here we have got just, let me just show it to you. One variable with a formatted object holding that variable, right? We have got another variable that's called a set model with function held in it. All right. This function is giving me this thing. I see that here. So instead of set model that we wrote that time, this dot get view dot set model, I'm using this dot set model. From where is it getting it? It's getting from here, this dot set model. All right. So this is what I was talking about. But the problem is we're writing the code over here. We're writing the code over here. Is it possible to write the code somewhere else for modularity? The answer is yes. It is possible for us to write the code somewhere else, and that somewhere else is called as the base controller. So think it to be as if you are in the same controller. Don't think that you are in some other controller. Do I make sense? Right? So what I did is that I just cut this piece of code from here, and let me just make the changes the way it was. So now it's referencing to the base controller. Now this is how it is. And now the base controller came back into picture. And then I made the base controller and this kind of a thing, right? Now for doing the set method now. So now we have the set model. Now get model. Where is the get model? So here also, instead of this thing, the set model, we can just use the whole set model over here, replace it. So this dot set model is written over there. Now for the get model, okay. So now you understand how easy it is to make the get model now. How will you do that? Go to the base controller. Here you will say, I want to make another function. I'll call that as get model, and I'll this function and this thing. All right. All right. And then I will say var o model. O model equals this dot, this dot, this dot get view dot get model. Okay. And then I'll return o model, return o model, and pass these things over there. Okay. Save it, get model. Now put get model over there. How are we going to put that? How are we going to put that in this place? How are you going to reference get model? By using what? This dot get model. And also it is like it's holding one parameter or one argument inside it. So I'll go to the base controller. I'll pass just a over there, and here also the a will be there. And that means the model object over here. Here we have the model and the name of the model. A represents the model and the name of the model, right? Here A represents, you understand these parameters, right? We have been doing it, so I'm just passing AB. I told you you can put some proper names over here if you want to. Like for example, for A, I can put, uh, let me just write it over here, model name. So of course, the model name we are get model, that means the model name. In the same way, the B over here is the model name and A is the model, O model. Okay. So you can just put O model. I don't want to do it right now. Let A be there to make changes. If you want to, you can just go ahead and make the changes over here and here. O model, model name. So you got the point. So it should work for our case. So where should I go for it? Save it. This dot get model, this dot get model. So instead of this, I'm just replacing all of it with, you see that, this dot get model. And do we have any this dot get model anywhere else? This dot get model will be replaced by only this dot get model. Yeah, anywhere else? So no. So this is how you can make a common functionality for the things. Those are there in many views. Okay. So that's one of the thing. Let me just refresh it if everything is working fine. Let me just check the codes if they are also working fine. Yeah, they're working fine. Let's try to also refresh thing, and let's see if this thing, this is a bug. Let me just refresh it. I think many of you might have been facing this bug. Okay, let me try to put the data. You see the data is coming. That is when I did this insert. So this insert, it's actually holding the data from the model, not from this input field, which is why, without putting anything on the input field, the data is still being loaded. Somebody asked this question some time back. Do we require to put that thing? Because no binding is done for the second model. So it's taking the structure from the second model behind the scenes and then putting the data inside it. So you see, my second model is working. It also shows my first model is working. So I think everything is working cool for it. All right. and we reference the codes over there in the base controller. So we have got set model, get model. Then you can put owner component over there, which is coming from the manifest. And this is how you can add more codes inside it. So this is the use of the base controller. So think base control to be only the controller you're in. All right. Nothing big we have done inside it. Okay. So let me just provide this code to you. Control A. I'm just providing this code, the base controller code, first thing, V, V. So that's the base controller code. This is of such an unfortunate thing that I've been sending files every day of these views of these. So the folder structure should be maintained the way it is. If somebody's not not been able to do that, so he or she that she can just directly go and import the thing inside it, and the things would be there in WebID. But due to some technical glitches, we have not been able to do that so far. But today, Preeti, we should, along with these two, we'll try to figure out, how we can send it. So if we are able to send it once, then every day is possible for us to send. Of course. Controller code you want, right? Can I give you the whole controller code? Control C. So, why that time it did not work, Deepti? Because it was like some variable, and we are trying to use this dot get view already inside it. It, it has to be packed inside a function, right? Because then it will try to look which this are you talking about and trying to reference it, this dot get view inside it. And now, shall I do one more thing that from here on, since we have done base controller, uh, tell me, like somebody wants to revisit the whole thing, will it become confusing